Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube as we break down Sunday's race out in Las Vegas, the South Point 400. Kevin Rogers with you, joined by Micah Roberts, breaking down the action in his backyard, not really in his pool, but in his city. You have the big race coming up on Sunday. We're down to the round of 8 now in the playoffs. And Micah, it's good to see you again. Let's jump right into it. And Denny Hamlin, who I know you've talked about a lot on these videos, 11-2 favorite going into this one. He has fared well in Las Vegas in his career. I know you've written it in your write-ups on Vegas Insider and your articles that these are the kind of tracks that he excels at. What do you think Denny Hamlin can do on Sunday?
Well, it's mostly the new car, but he did towards the last couple of years in Vegas. He hadn't won before until this race last season, got him into the Championship 4 race in Phoenix, and is all set, and he wants to do that again right out of the gate. And his advantage has only been on the 1.5 mile tracks and the 2 mile tracks this season. The other ones, the short tracks that he's been good on his whole career, hasn't been that much of a contender, hasn't been a contender on the road courses, not even on the super speedways. The guy's a 3-time Daytona winner. He's won at Talladega a couple times as well. Didn't do well on those this year, but this type of track, yes, he's ready to dominate. And the Toyotas have done extremely well on these types of tracks here as well. And I don't think you're going to see the wreck fest like we saw at Texas. That was a whole little different animal, but that's a sister track of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This is a 30th Cup race all time at Las Vegas. Its time has just flown by. I remember the first race with Mark Martin when it came to Vegas. It was so exciting. Got to put up all the extra props and everything like that. But Hamlin, you know, the last 2 seasons in the other car, led the most laps in this race. Finished 3rd in 2020. He won last season, his first Cup win in Las Vegas. And then I take tracks, the most recent tracks that apply to this race, and it's the 2 mile track of Michigan. It's the 1.366 mile of Darlington, Kansas, and Texas. And I treat those almost more as gospel than I do the first Las Vegas race, which was all the way back in March. So there's a lot of that has been learned about this car and what it takes to be fast on these types of tracks. And Hamlin and the Toyotas have proved it. So we go back to Kansas. He was runner-up in that race. Bubba Wallace won that race. At Darlington, he was runner-up in that race. And Eric Jones won that race. And then he was 3rd at Michigan. So we have a cycle going here. And he also won on the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, another sister track, 1.5 miles, like Las Vegas as well. He won that race, was on the pole, dominated that race as well. Well, didn't dominate, but he started on the pole, won the race, only led like 15 laps. But you get the idea. Everything is pointing at Hamlin, and the bookmakers did a good job of making them the favorite. I'd like better odds, but what are you going to do? The guy's so good, even the robot bookmakers know.
Now, looking at Chase Elliott, Micah, he has never won at Vegas. A lot of top 5 just has not gotten over the hump there. Chase at 8-1 coming up on Sunday. You think this is the time he finally wins in Vegas?
It could be. He's been close. He's had some really good runs. I think he was a runner-up in this race last season. With the new car, though, he's been more dominant other places than the 1.5 mile tracks. So I'm not a big fan of betting him here, but he's one of those guys that you have to respect always. 5 wins on the season, and the wins, they just kind of sneak up on him. You know, he runs a good race, and oh my God, there he is in the top 5. Oh my God, now he's taking the lead, and then he wins the race. So he's impressive always. You have to respect the former champion, and he's a good candidate to win the title again. I'm not so sure about Las Vegas. Maybe I would look at a couple of his other teammates in this race, not Kyle Larson, but I would look at William Byron, even though I haven't seen anything better than 12-1. I can't do much with that. But Byron's a really good look here. I think he finished 5th in the Vegas race, the first Vegas race, and he's been coming on strong since the playoffs started after pretty much taking the whole summer off. It's good finishes. He's only got 5 top 5s on the season. Most of them came early, and a couple of them have come late during the playoffs. So he'd be a guy to look at. And also Noah Gragson, the rookie from Las Vegas, who has taken over Alex Bowman's car. Now, Bowman's been a guy that I've been picking on in these 1.5 mile races since Las Vegas, where he won. And he also led the most laps at Kansas, 109 laps last month that he led most in the race. Bowman is out, concussion protocol. Gragson's in. It's not so much that I like Gragson to win. I like the car setup. And I think Gragson's going to feel very comfortable for a rookie in his first time driving a Cup race at his home track.
Now, Christopher Bell won at Charlotte last week. Mike, obviously road course, totally different setup than what we have in Las Vegas, but he's also at 8-1, and we haven't seen a lot of repeat winners so far this season. So, yes, different track, different setup. But what do you think about Bell coming up on Sunday?
It's Toyota, so you got to make him a candidate. If you can find 10-1 or better, I'd say that's good. Good to have in your betting portfolio this weekend, because he's a guy that, he's got the most top fives out of all Toyota drivers, and that's saying a lot when you got Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, and he's the guy that has the most. So he's moving up in the world. He's a contender to win the championship, and he's done well on this track. What was he, 10th in Vegas, 32 laps led, pretty impressive. And he's been impressive third at Kansas, led 12 laps in that race. So he fits the profile of somebody that should do well in this race.
Finally, Mike, we always like to look at the drivers to watch, other names that are not at the top of the list, but we've seen the upsets this year. So give me about maybe 2 or 3 guys that maybe could pull an upset, reasonable upset in Vegas on Sunday. Well,
you have to include Eric Jones. You start with him. I mean, this guy won at Darlington. He's been good at all his 6 at Texas. I like them a lot, and I like what they've done, and it showed how powerful this next-gen car is. Not powerful in horsepower, but powerful in breaking up this monopoly that all the big-time elite car owners had. He's come in there with Richard Petty, who's had junk parts for the last 3 decades. All of a sudden, he's winning races for him. I like that. And he's competitive, and he's there at the end, and he's also won a truck race at Las Vegas, too. So I think he's a good candidate. Odds varied. I've seen him anywhere from 40-1 to 66-1. And the other one is Chase Briscoe. So he's in the playoffs. He squeaked by in the playoffs, and he's a 2-time winner in the Xfinity Series race at Las Vegas. And I think he's going to get some extra attention for being the featured driver for Stewart-Haas Racing. He's going to get all the good stuff, everything that they can do to try to win this race and move on to the championship at Phoenix, which he won in the spring. So that's a unique combination there. They can get him into the race somehow by winning these next 2 races. I don't think he can do it at Martinsville, but he can win at Las Vegas or Homestead. 33-1. I'm going to have him in my betting strategy this week.
The South Point 400 coming up on Sunday in Las Vegas. We're down to the round of 8 in the NASCAR playoffs. Micah Roberts, you could check out his work at Vegas Insider. Got a great preview of the race. Micah, as always, we appreciate the time. Thanks. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
All right, that is Micah Roberts. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot. And as always, best of luck with your bets.